Hey everyone, welcome back to training for this week. It's going to be an awesome few sessions. And as we're diving in, I think it's really important as you're coming into our PHH world that you really understand, number one, how we see heart healing, how we define inner healing here at PHH, and really, the creation of PHH, how we birth this with the Lord. So I want to share a little bit this week just of our story of developing PHH, and then also talk about really what is inner healing, what is heart healing, how do we define those here at PHH, and then also who needs it, okay? Some super important stuff as we're diving in. So a little bit about the story of PHH. So, really, this was developed from Tarak and I's, our personal healing journeys with the Lord. I got into inner healing because I needed healing for myself. I'm sure many of us can agree that that was our introduction to the world of healing. Encounters with the Lord it first started with us, right? And so I grew up, I knew who the Lord was. I was raised in a Christian home, but I really, I never grasped the idea of a personal relationship with God that was available to me, or the connection that I could have with Him. That was just something that, I totally missed. My understanding of God growing up was really based in fear, because of painful situations and broken people that I encountered growing up. I learned to shut down areas of my heart in an effort to stay safe, in an effort to just make it through. I'm sure there's many of you that can relate as well. But as I was doing this, I was really living cut off from my own heart and cut off from a relationship with the Father. And, I had what Tarak likes to call fire insurance salvation. That was like, I'm scared of hell, so I'm going to give my life to the Lord. But I didn't actually know there was a true, living, beautiful relationship with Him that was available to me. And so, later on, I left for college and, I was studying psychology. I wanted to be a therapist. And in the middle of that, the Lord just started to grab a hold of my heart. And someone actually introduced me to Inner Healing Ministry, said, Elise, you should check this out. It seems like something you might be interested in. And so really out of curiosity, I went in to receive this ministry in my town. I was in Santa Barbara at the time. And so I went in to receive, and when I did, the Lord just knocked my socks off. And for one of the first times in my life, if not the first time in my life, I heard the Lord's voice for myself. This was really my introduction to the prophetic. I learned that there was this invitation to deeper connection with the Lord than I had ever known before. And I started to experience His love and delight in me for probably one of the first times in my life. He really started ministering to those areas of my heart that had been hurting for so long, been in so much pain. And, it really lit this fire in me of passion for the Lord. So it just, I got baptized in the Holy Spirit right then. And it lit this passion in me to continue to pursue the Lord, but also to help other people encounter Him. How many of you know that when you encounter the Lord, all you want to do is help other people experience that as well, right? I'm sure when you guys signed up for our PHH programs, you had people in mind that you wanted to help experience the Lord, just like how you have, right? So freedom is addicting. Healing is addicting. It's powerful. And so when I saw that on my own life in such a profound level, I was really wrecked to do anything else but help others get that as well. And so, I am still all for counseling. You'll hear us, we love counseling. We love therapy. I think that can work powerfully in tandem with heart healing. But for myself on that journey, I really was like, man, I want to do this with Holy Spirit. I want to counsel in a way where really I'm allowing the counselor to come in and bring that healing that only he can bring. And so fast forward a couple years, the Lord supernaturally connected me. That's a story for another day. But supernaturally connected me with a team of heart healing ministers up in Northern California. And I really started to go on this journey of learning how to lead others through heart healing ministry. I trained in a few different modalities and was really going deep and just learning some basic heart healing tools. And during that season, I was becoming more and more intrigued with the voice of the Lord. So again, I had grown up, my idea of prayer at that time, growing up, was listing off my laundry list of things, of requests for the Lord, and then moving on with my day. So this whole idea of actually listening and allowing the Lord to be the one to direct our conversation was all new, and I absolutely loved it. It was like groundbreaking. And so, in these ministry sessions, the opportunity at the end of the session to call out the gold in someone else, to see them the way that Lord saw them and release them, release encouragement, comfort, and exhortation over them was my favorite part of the whole session. I'd be like on the edge of my seat to be able to share what I was seeing or sensing from the Lord. And so the ministry team I was working with at the time, they noticed that I loved the prophetic, and, that wasn't something that was trained in with heart healing. And so they really started to encourage me to go find some training or equipping in the prophetic specifically. And so the Lord led me to my amazing spiritual father, Keith Ferrante, and Emerging Prophets. And I joined in on this community of really understanding my prophetic voice, how I move in the prophetic, and just learning to hear God's voice on an even deeper level, and what it looks like to flow with Holy Spirit in everything. And, as I was growing in my prophetic understanding, I was finding that at the same time, my discernment was going deeper, my authority was rising, and it was really starting to impact how I actually led my whole inner healing sessions. I was less dependent on a method I had learned and much more dependent on the Holy Spirit to show up. And it was really growing my personal faith as I watched the Lord just show up and do these incredible things that I could have never done on my own. And so, where I had been trained to go in steps in an order, like A, B, C, D, all of a sudden, as the Holy Spirit was leading, I was going D, B, Z, A, F, and we were seeing these just incredible breakthroughs for people as Holy Spirit really had a space to flow in this session. And I was finding that as I just simply created an atmosphere with Holy Spirit of honor, of safety and love, that the Lord would come and that He would bring healing and freedom in the most beautiful ways. And we would get to leave the recipient with direction and purpose and really hope as they were in that healing journey with the Lord. So through this, I started developing our inner healing model, Prophetic Heart Healing. The Lord started speaking to me and said, Elise, write down what you're doing. I'm doing something new in you. I'm birthing something new in heart healing, in the heart healing space. And I want you to start to document it, start to write it down. And so I started to write it down. The Lord gave us the name Prophetic Heart Healing. And really, our model focuses on connection and relationship first. So letting the Lord be the one to bring the healing, the freedom, the breakthrough, because that's just who He is. But we as the ministers, we focus on connection and relationship. All right. And then learning to flow with Holy Spirit to see the person receiving step deeper into their identity and destiny with Jesus. All right. And, as we were developing this modality, around the same time, the Lord started giving me a vision of a company of inner healing ministers. I saw inner healing ministers all over the world being raised up, being available to do these heart healing sessions. And, I had experienced firsthand just really how necessary inner healing was. I'd really watched it transform my own life and the lives of hundreds of others. I had done a lot of sessions at this point, and I was also seeing how unavailable it was. How, if a church had an inner healing team, only if, because not all churches have them, oftentimes there was a waiting list. Oftentimes, it was a small group that was offering these sessions on the side of work or other commitments that they had, and they were also getting burnt out, as there was a lot of people who needed healing, and a small team that could only offer them on a limited basis. And, I had been on teams that did both paid sessions and teams that did them for free. I had actually had a season where I raised support to be able to offer these sessions for free full time. And let me just say, the ones who paid for their session, who had to sow into their own healing, they paid attention. And that's just the truth, guys, is the ones that pay attention. They show up very differently than the ones that came for free. They had personally invested in their own growth and freedom. And so they stewarded that time, that session, they stewarded it differently. And so the Lord started showing me, what if people could do this as their life work and actually support themselves in the process? And so the Lord was giving me this vision of raising up an inner healing company that ministered all over the world, online, in person. They can meet with you anytime, anywhere. And they did it in a way that was sustainable, that they could support themselves and their families at the same time. So this was huge for us, as we started to press into this with the Lord. This is unusual. There aren't a lot of inner healing businesses out there that are doing this as a practice. And but the Lord was really opening our eyes that He wanted to do something even bigger. He wanted to create a way to do this sustainably so that those who were being trained up in it could go the distance. And not burn out, that they weren't spinning their wheels to pay their bills with a 9-to-5 in order to squeeze in these power pack sessions on the side, but instead really give folks who feel called to this, know this is what's in their heart, what they've been created to do, giving them an opportunity to devote themselves to helping others get breakthrough, freedom, and healing. So we started ministering online in 2020. And the Lord just blew on it, and we have been running ever since. So we have had hundreds of people go through our mentorship programs, our certification program, and it has been just an incredible journey ever since. At this point in time, I think we are about at 15,000 inner healing sessions in the last 2.5 years as a movement, which is incredible, and we're just getting started. So this is going to be an incredible ride, guys. I wanted to give you just a little of our backstory as you're diving into PHH, really understanding where we birthed this from, what the Lord has done in our movement, and what you're stepping into. So I'll catch you in the next video. We are going to be diving into really what is inner healing, how we define it here at PHH. I'll see you there.